Hi, Gary Chillingworth here for Airgun World Magazine, Shooting and Country TV. Welcome to Life at the Range. Well, today we've got quite a rare thing for Life at the Range. We're actually going to be faking some stuff. I'll explain that in a little while. But first of all, I need a bit of help from you all. In July, we're going to start a new series called Back to Basics. Now, we've had a lot of people asking a lot of questions about, you know, how do you do this, how do you do that? Now, in the past, we've done beginners to winners and things like that, but I think it's a good idea to go back to, you know, where we all started and go through everything from the start. I genuinely think it's going to help me as a shooter, and I hope it's going to help you guys as well. So on my Facebook page, on the Life at the Range Facebook page, we asked the questions, what does everyone want? So if you could put in the comments below if there's anything you'd like me to cover. Please don't ask for reviews on particular guns. We've got the guns we've got, and they're pretty much the guns we use. I might be able to get some stuff, especially if it's maybe from air arms, but if you ask me to get the XYZ Mark IV whatever, I don't have access. It's really difficult to get hold of stuff, so I can't really be doing gun reviews. But if you want, oh Gary, can we look at Neela's shooting in the wind, shooting in the sun, something like that, then that we can do. Now, faking stuff, that comes on to what we're talking about today. We are going to be doing blur and the advantages and disadvantages. Now, I've been trying to record through the scope. Now, I've got here the Daystate Connect that I'm really enjoying. This is the 4x16x32. And I've been trying to record blur, but because of the way that the cameras work and they're different for the human eye, I just can't get it to show blur consistently. So what I've managed to work out how to do is get a photograph of a target, and then what we'll do is I'll be using video software to show you the levels of blur. So the pictures that you're going to see up here, they're not going to be done through the scope. They are going to be manufactured by me, but they're going to be as accurate as I can possibly get them. Okay, so let's have a chat about blur. And I'm not talking about the Jarvis Cocker band. Or is that Pulp? Damon Albarn? I know it's not Liam Gallagher. Right, we're not talking about the band, we're talking about through the scope. Now, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to blur, if you get a regular HFT scope like this MTC Connect, or you know, your Optisan CP 10x32 or the Hawk or whatever, and you set it up on the parallax, which is on your parallax side wheel at 25 yards, then when I look through here, when I'm looking at my 45-yard target, as you can see here, it's slightly blurry. When I'm looking at my 40-yard target, it's absolutely clear. When I'm looking at my 8-yard target, I can barely make out the kill zone. And when I'm looking at my 25-yard target, it's clear, 30 is clear, and 35 is clear. And because in HFT we're not allowed to adjust our parallax, we can use this blur sometimes to actually range find targets. However, that can be dangerous. So let's have a chat about blur and when you can use it and when it's a good idea not to. Okay, so here we have a 45-yard target. And if you look at the, if you look at the kill zone, and you'll notice just to the left hand side of the kill zone, or just outside of the kill zone, you'll notice that you can see lots of pellet strikes, but you can't make them out as if they're sharp. We now put up a 40-yard target just below it, and you can see the difference between the two. And you think, oh, that's absolutely great. I can use that, and I now know the difference between my 40-yard and my 45. That's great. End of the video, we can all go home. Yeah, that's not always the case. Let's assume we're now shooting into the dark. We're in a nice bright area like here, but the actual target is located in a woodland and it's further down range. Now tell me what range you feel that this one is. As you can see, around the edges of the target, they're not particularly sharp, are they? See the pellet strikes? You can't make out the crispness. So you're going to say, yeah, that's 45 yards. Well, no, that's not. That's at 40 yards, but because it's dark, you're not drawing enough light in and it looks blurry. So let's look at this other video, this other target. I think you can see where we're going with this one. Now, this target is lovely and clear. You can make everything out on it. It's beautiful. So that's clearly 40 yards or under, or maybe 35. You know, you can make out the pellet strikes. You can see the string carrier. You can see the edges, and they're all nice and sharp. And you go, that's 45. You go, that's 40 yards. But hang on, that's not. That's 45. But because the sun is shining straight at it and everything is nice and bright, that's also going to affect your blur. So blur at distance, it can work. It can give you a rough idea, but it's not something you should always rely on. And it's certainly something you need to be aware of, that if you're in dark conditions, you're going to get more blur. And if you're out in the sun, it's going to be much shinier. So blur at distance, it does work, but do not rely on it. If you've got something like that, and you know, let's put this one up here. This is all lovely and sharp. You see that it's all nice and sharp, but yet you've got all of the hits underneath the kill zone. And it's on a bright sunny day. Well, that's 45 yards, because you can see everyone has hit low. Same if we've got one and everything is hit high, then you know it's probably nearer to 40. So use it as a rough guide, but certainly don't rely on it. Now, there are other things that can certainly affect blur. I had it the other day. We travelled all the way down to, where did we go? To Nomads for the recoiling championships. I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I was very tired. I'd managed to get myself a speeding ticket on the M6. And then we'd travelled and we'd got there and my eyes were tired. Didn't use any eye drops in them, and I messed up royally on quite a few targets because I was looking at the kill zones and I was using blur and I was using head bob, but because my eyes were tired, it was giving me false information. I don't know if you can hear that. Dun, dun, dun. My son's just arrived home in his car. So fatigue can affect the way you see things. Fatigue can affect blur. If you wear contact lenses, if your eyes get dry, that can affect blur. There are lots of things that can affect blur. So what you need to do is you need to spend time on the range, and you need to go out there and fatigue yourself and, you know, let your eyes dry out and whatever, and see how that's going to affect the way you shoot. So that is shooting targets at distance with blur. Be warned. Another thing that can affect blur is a lot of people shut their eye when they're shooting a target. Some people shoot with two eyes open. Both are acceptable, both can be used. However, if you shoot with one eye and you shut that one, always shoot with that one if you're going to use blur. Don't all of a sudden start opening both eyes, because that will affect, you know, that could very well affect the way you see and the way you judge the target. So two eyes open, great. One eye open, great. Just make sure that you stick with that way that you shoot, and don't try and use multiple different techniques, because it will just mess you up. Okay, so can we use blur on a short target? Well, I'll be honest with you, for me, that's where blur really works well. We've got a target here at 8 yards. So we're having a look at it, and for me, I can barely make out the kill zone that I'm looking at. But what I'll do is I will start to draw my head back. But at the same time as you do that, you'll notice that as you look through the scope, there will be a black ring that will start to encroach and will essentially make the ocular smaller. So as you're going like that and you're drawing back, and you'll suddenly see that you've got this tiny little black ring, but at the same time everything becomes clearer. That 8-yard target that you could no longer see, you can now make out. Now, it won't affect your aim points or anything like that. You've now got a tractor going past. The joys of living in the country. We're just waiting for the tractor to go past. Tractor, I reckon it might be Jeremy Clarkson. Bugger off, Clarkson. As you draw your head back, you'll see that black ring will start to get smaller, and basically put your aim point in the middle of the kill, but you'll be able to make out where that kill is. It's a good trick. That black ring also works with parallax error. That if you're aiming up a tree like that and you're not sure if you're dead center of the scope, if you draw your head back a little bit, or if you pushed your scope forward so you had it permanently there, and you get a perfect black ring around the outside, then you know that you're going to be in the center, as long as that black ring is circular and it's not, pardon me, and it's not like just at the top, the bottom, left to the right. Best thing you can do is draw your head back and just start bobbing your head around, and you'll actually be able to see what I'm talking about. But learning your blur, certainly at short distances, I know that for me on this scope, 25 yards to about 38, everything is perfectly clear. I've got a tiny amount of blur at 20, and at 13 I've got a fair amount, but I can still make out the kill zone. I've been shooting long enough to know that I can recognise when there's a dip in the light or things like that, and I know that it's going to add 2 or 3 yards onto my blur. But this is something you need to build up with experience. So that is a very, very brief explanation about blur, about when it works, when it doesn't work, and the pitfalls and the advantages. It's certainly something you can use, but it's not something you want to rely on. Use it as step 1 in your range finding techniques. Have a look at the blur, bob your head, measure your target, measure your hinge from the center of the kill down to the hinge plate. Use anything you can to try and dial in that distance, and that will certainly start working for you. So that's pretty much about all we've got for today. I just finished editing the video and I missed out something really simple. If you notice, we had a mixture of white and yellow targets. White targets show less blur than yellow targets. So that's another thing you need to think about. What are the colour of the targets that you're shooting at? Because not all targets blur the same. If there's a different colour, if it's a different thickness of paint, different shade, it may very well take less blur or more blur, more reflective. So simple as that. Don't you? I mean, you can use it. I've used it, but it can really lead you down some dark paths. If there is something that you want us to look at technique wise, please put it in the comments below and let me know. Join us on it in our Facebook group. Let me know through that. You can always contact me at lifeatarange@gmail.com. We've got some interesting videos coming up. I've just had an amazing day at Bisley shooting 260 Remington 44 Magnum with a 240 grain bullet out of a Winchester lever action rifle. We shot a large amounts of 308s, tractors. And that video is hopefully going to be coming in about a month's time. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you all again on the range very, very soon. Ta-da!